The first generation of Pokémon is quite possibly one of the most iconic things in gaming history. It managed to kickstart one of the largest franchises in the world, and start a series of massively popular games that are still going strong. Pokémon games have seen a lot of changes over the years, but the original generation still holds a special place in the hearts of many Pokémon fans, and for many reasons. However, among those reasons is almost certainly not because of how well these games were made. Next weekend is the franchise's 26th birthday, so today I wanted to show you some of the ways the original games were janky as hell, and take a look back at the Glitchy masterpiece that was the first generation of Pokémon. Our first glitch is one that most players might know about, but may have never encountered. The 1-256 glitch is a simple bug that affects how the probability of attacks are calculated. If you have a move with a 100% chance of hitting the other Pokémon, this glitch makes it so that that technically isn't true. You see, when you perform an attack, even one that has 100% accuracy, the game basically performs a dice roll by generating a number between 0 and 256, and in the case of 100% accuracy attacks, checking if the result is less than 255. The problem here is that this will only return as true around 99.6% of the time, because the developers forgot to check if the dice roll could also equal 255 as well. This means that not only are all accuracy values in the game technically incorrect, there are no moves apart from Swift and Bide, which ignore accuracy checks, that are completely airtight. Nearly every single 100% accuracy move has just that tiny little chance of missing, which is kind of funny. Overall, this is one of the more ineffectual bugs in the game, but as a programmer it interests me just how one character missing from the code kinda breaks an otherwise solid accuracy check. Here's a fun one that you can do right at the start of the game. When choosing your first Pokémon, the process by which all of us become men, you can instead deny your destiny and try to leave. Professor Oak won't let you until you have chosen your Pokémon, and you should probably listen to him, because if you keep trying to escape Oak and his Pokéballs, the universe will delete you, Oak, and one of the Pokémon from sight. This is just a strange visual glitch though, so pausing the game will return things to normal. Our next glitch is one that's actually useful if you're a lazy player, like me. If you go to one of the entrances to Cycling Road without a bike, and try to go through, you'll be told by the guard that you can't enter. However, if you just keep trying to go through and mashing the A button, the game will just kinda let you in, and even give you a bike for your troubles. This works because when you're denied entry to Cycling Road, the game makes you do a little walk back to the right. If you catch it at the right time, holding left continuously will interrupt this rightwards animation and let you keep going left. This goes to show that not every glitch is a negative. Another useful glitch for us lazy boys is the Pokédog glitch. Usually when you go to save Mr. Fuji from the Pokémon Tower, you encounter a ghost that can't be fought without the Self Scope, which is all the way in the Rocket hideout. Rather than doing all that crap, you can just buy a Pokédoll and use it on the ghost, making it go away without having to fight it, skipping a whole part of the game entirely. But why stop at just sequence breaking? Why not complete the game before we even get any Pokémon? In Pokémon Yellow, by exploiting the way the game saves, we can reset at a specific time before the game has properly finished saving. If we do it right, we'll have a bunch of glitched menus where we can perform some good old-fashioned memory manipulation. I won't go into detail because there's already a better explanation of it right here. Go check it out if you want to know how to pull it off. Memory manipulation is one of the more interesting ways you can mess around in the original Pokémon games, because we're essentially reprogramming the game by tricking certain things into loading where they shouldn't. You can use these glitches in all sorts of ways, from getting rare Pokemon like Mew, to giving yourself a ton of Master Balls, to teleporting yourself around the map. We can use it here to get from our house at the very beginning of the game to the Hall of Fame at the very end, skipping pretty much everything in the game. And that might not be such a bad idea, because apparently the battle system is absolutely riddled with glitches. Dragon-type moves are super effective against each other, meaning it would be beneficial to have a super cool dragon Pokemon on your team, especially if you're going up against Lance, the dragon trainer of the Elite Four. There's just one problem with that plan. There is only one dragon-type move in the game, and it sucks. And it also isn't super effective against dragon types because it only does fixed damage. It's not really a glitch per se, but it completely nerfs an entire typing from the game, just like ghosts, which is at least noteworthy. When you fight other Pokemon, you can only use your moves a certain amount of times, dictated by your move's PP stat. To counter this downside to the player, the developers made it so that an enemy's moves are also restricted by PP. Oh wait, no they didn't. Enemies get to use Harden all day long without affecting their PP, and you get to eat shit and die when yours runs out. But do you know what's worse than no PP? How about having no Pokemon to even use your PP? Wait. If you get frozen in Gen 1, you couldn't do anything about it, and you wouldn't thaw out unless you were hit with a move that inflicted burn. So if you go up against Lorelei and she turns your best Pokemon into an ice cube, even if you bring status recovery items, you can get caught in an infinite loop of getting frozen and trying to heal until your items run out or your Pokemon faints. But why? Why would a supposedly elite trainer do this? Well, it turns out everybody in Kanto is a complete dumbass. No doubt due to the brain damage that comes with standing in one spot all day, trainers will always try and use the move that is super effective against your Pokemon when they have one, even if it doesn't inflict damage. But don't worry, because the game devs made sure to give those poor trainers a helping hand by programming half the moves wrong. If you're trapped by Bind, Wrap, Fire Spin, or Clamp, and the opposing Pokemon uses a move that puts your Pokemon to sleep, your Pokemon would be put to sleep. Forever. Or at least until it got fainted or swapped out. Mercifully, these bugs will sometimes work in favour of the player. If you fly or dig while confused or paralysed and the enemy Pokemon attacks you, it will miss. And then continue to miss. And then continue to miss. Even once you come back from fly or dig, the other Pokemon will still continue to miss. With minimal setup and the right Pokemon, you can become practically invincible, except against 3 very specific moves that only very specific Pokemon can even have, like Transform, which can only be used by a Mew through glitching him into existence, or by Ditto in casual play. Speaking of Transform and Ditto, did you know that if you catch a Pokemon that was in the middle of using Transform, it will always assume you caught a Ditto? You could be trying to catch a Mew, but if it transforms and you throw a Master Ball at it, well, congratulations, you've caught yourself a shiny new Ditto. Are you fighting with your new Ditto that you named Mew in denial of your loss and you want to catch a Dodrio to numb the pain? Well, you better hope that Dodrio doesn't know Mirror Move, because if it mirrors Transform and you try and catch it now, then congratulations! You've got yourself a shiny new Ditto. Now you can go to the Pokemon Center and put these purple sacks of crap out to pasture. Just make sure that none of them are fainted, because for some odd reason you can still release all your still functioning Pokemon while keeping the unconscious one, leaving you with only a fainted Ditto, which I like to think is like carrying around a giant comatose booger. But don't worry, you won't have to carry him far, because the game will politely knock you out for not having any working Pokemon. Because even in the safety of the local vet, you can't stop wandering 10-year-olds from being instantly glassed when Mewtwo isn't there to save your fat ass. Even if you do manage to get a Mew, or any other Pokemon with a decently high attack stat, anything over 255, Don't go to any of the earlier routes to test out your new Pokemon, because if you attack anything with a defense or a special stat that's less than 4, the game will try and divide it by 0 and loop the calculation indefinitely, effectively freezing your game. Speaking of calculations, ever wonder why you can't find any level 1 Pokemon in these games? Well, the developers actually managed to find out about this bug and made it so you can't get any. Unless, of course, you used another well-known glitch to force an encounter with one. If you use the infamous Mew glitch to trick the game into giving you specific Pokemon encounters, you can encounter a particular level 1 Pokemon. If you catch it and level it up, the 8-bit calculations mess up and it will underflow to level 100 instead of going up to level 2. This can be used to get yourself a level 100 Pokemon as early as Viridian Forest, and is surprisingly easy to do casually. I actually used this glitch to power through the game for footage, and I got myself an overpowered Nidoking within minutes of playing. It won't get any moves from leveling up, and it probably won't listen to you without badges, but it literally does not matter when he hits like a truck. I haven't even mentioned the variety of ways you can get revenge on the game by making it completely destroy itself. Glitch City is a fun glitch to pull off, if only because it's one of the few major glitches that doesn't brick your cartridge or curse you with an evil Pokemon or some shit. If we enter a session in the Safari Zone, we can then try and leave, because the Safari Zone sucks. The attendant will ask us if we want to leave, and we say no, because the Safari Zone is pretty cool. Instead, we save and quit, and when we come back, the game thinks we aren't in the Safari Zone anymore. By talking to the attendant once again, they'll ask us if we want to start another session, and when we confirm, the session will start and send us out in the opposite direction towards Fuchsia City. Once we exhaust all of our steps and get called back to the Safari Zone entrance, trying to leave results in the universe collapsing in on itself for the crime of trying to game the system. I presume this is where you go when you don't pay your taxes. All this glitchiness is quite egregious, so let's find a way of stopping the player from getting to Fuchsia City and messing up the game like this. In all the Japanese versions and the international version of Yellow, you can break your game before it ever really starts. If you want to start catching them all before we get the Pokédex from Professor Oak, you might just end your trainer career. By catching 2 or more Pokemon before delivering Oak's parcel, he just won't give you the Pokédex. By having Pokemon registered in a non-existent dex, Oak will just assume you already have one and won't accept your parcel, which prevents you from progressing. You can surf on statues and go fishing in statues. If you're completely sick of this game and its various shenanigans, why not try the ultimate glitch, the granddaddy of all Gen 1's general tomfoolery. Let's go get us a missing note. We're going to be using the Old Man glitch because it's a classic which necessitates that my character's name ends with certain characters. So of course my name is just 7 colons because I'm a giant ass. We go to Viridian City and subject ourselves to the Old Man's lesson on how to catch Pokemon. Once he's done, we go to Cinnabar Island and start surfing up and down the east coast until we encounter a wild Pokemon. However, talking to the Old Man has obviously invoked some kind of eldritch horror to befall us, and we appear to have summoned a creature that our little boy eyes cannot comprehend. In reality, when we entered Viridian City to speak to the Old Man, the game unloaded the Pokemon data that it had for the surrounding area. The game usually has a bunch of Pokemon loaded into memory and ready to be used for random encounters, and this memory normally updates when we enter a new route. It doesn't update in towns, however, so when we clear it and load in a special memory instance for the Old Man's tutorial, exit back out to a town, then immediately head to another, the list of Pokemon is never updated. The reason we flew to Cinnabar in particular is because in Red and Blue, the programmers messed up when assigning the tile type to these tiles on the east coast. Rather than ground or water tiles, they are set to act like grass, meaning we can trigger a random encounter here, which can't be done in any other city. However, Because we cleared the proper list of Pokémon the game references for random encounters, the game instead defaults to the number 0 Pokémon in the index, which is missing now. But the fun doesn't stop there, folks. If we just ran away from Missing No, we could escape mostly unscathed. If we decide, however, to catch Missing No, strange things begin to happen. Remember, we don't have a real Pokémon in our party. We have a pile of malformed data that shouldn't actually exist. We have essentially given our game a tumour, and because the game tries to treat Missing No as a real Pokémon, it'll trip itself up on the broken references and begin to corrupt. Like a time bomb, the longer we have Missing No, the more damaged our save file will become. It's very likely we won't be able to access our save file if we quit out and come back. I've even heard that Missing No's corruption extends to the hardware itself, damaging the game cartridge, the Game Boy, or even the emulator itself. I know many of you have already heard of Missing No a million times by now, but it really is the cherry on top of the glitch fest that is Generation 1 of Pokémon. From simple visual bugs to obtuse oversights to mass data corruption, Gen 1 isn't just glitchy. It somehow manages to feature nearly every kind of glitch one might expect to find in a game. It is a miracle to me that this game even functions at all, with just how easy it is to mess around with it. Yet, despite all that, here we are, 26 years later, talking about it. Don't get me wrong, Gen 1 is deeply flawed, and despite my nostalgia, some of those flaws were downright inexcusable. But beneath all the strangeness lies a very important lesson. A game doesn't have to be well made to be good. Many people would consider the first generation of Pokémon to be the best, and I can see why. An ambassador of a simpler time is always welcome in our lives, and despite all of its problems, Gen 1 is still a set of some very enjoyable games. We tend to have this notion that poorly constructed art is bad, and it's not an unreasonable reaction to have. Poor construction is often a sign of generally negative qualities like negligence and incompetence, a lack of craftsmanship or skill that is detrimental to the intent of the art being created. But I find that art, much like it should, often challenges this notion by defying the trend and still demanding attention despite glaring mistakes. Gen 1 isn't complete garbage, of course, it's still a functional product, but it also has the kinds of issues that would have been deal breakers for other titles. The fact that these games still endure to this day, while being so utterly broken, is a testament to just how good they really are. Last time I talked about Mario 64 and how its gameplay formula endured for around a decade, and I think Pokémon found itself in a very similar situation. Games don't necessarily connect with us because they are solely good or well constructed. They connect with us because they provide us with a meaningful experience that we can't get anywhere else. We can like Gen 1, or any other flawed game for that matter, because it was never about the flaws to begin with. It was about the experience that it provided, and continues to provide to this day, for better or for worse. Hey guys, Project Masquerade here. Just to let you all know, in a couple of weeks I'll be jumping back into my programming content for a little while. I have a stealth system ready to showcase, and I hope you'll all enjoy it. Other than that, going back to Gen 1 Pokémon briefly, before Pokémon Yellow was released, Game Freak saw fit to change a bunch of the Pokémon sprites, mostly because the old ones were shite, and I wanted to show off all my favourites here without disrupting the video. If you aren't interested, feel free to check out the Project Masquerade channel for other gaming related content. Otherwise, if you want to see hilarious sprite work, just sit back and enjoy.